Welcome. Good to have everybody. We'll get started here in just a minute. For those of you who are just joining, welcome. Each of the systems that I broadcast to typically just take a second to load up, and sometimes that's just normal. So we'll get started here in just a moment. It's kind of like you're joining me in the green room as we start broadcasting in some of these different channels. Then we have an opportunity to just hang tight. And rather than just have you hear silence, I'll just fill the void with my own voice. If that sounds okay. So let me know where you're joining from and put your LinkedIn profile in the chat, if you would, please. I'm Andrew Beach. I'm an executive coach. I help professionals communicate their value to find great opportunities faster. I often tell people I am a teacher of self-education. I do that through a number of things, including professional coaching, branding, helping people communicate effectively, and many different methods, whether that's through the networking, interviewing, market planning. I can answer any questions that you might have about career. So if you have a chance, go ahead and share what questions you have, put them in the chat. I'm happy to answer. Happy Good Friday, everybody, if you celebrate that kind of thing, and Passover if you're on the other side of the fence, so to speak. Good. So it's good to see everybody. It's Friday. This is what we call Career Happy Hour. It happens every Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific time. Hello, Leif. Good to see you. And a good reminder, Leif, thank you for that. If you are unfamiliar with this community, we're here to serve each other and to support each other. What I found is LinkedIn is a great platform to facilitate networking, but it's still not easy. It's still not easy to reach out to people you don't know. And by Leif putting his LinkedIn profile in the chat, which just happened a moment ago, what he's acknowledging to you and everybody here is that he's open. He's open to you connecting with him and having conversation. Terry Smith, same thing. He put his link in the chat. Just go ahead and put your profile address in there. A number of things to cover this week. Not the least of which is the current events related to the March Madness, and that we're down now to the Final Four, and there is one Pac-12 team represented. It wasn't the one that not that I don't want a Pac-12 team represented, but there was one team that I preferred to be there over another. And the Beavers made a good run, but they didn't make it to the Final Four. So we'll just hope for better next year. Good. So if you're just joining, please put any questions you have regarding career in the chat, whether that's interviewing, market planning, how to effective search, anything related to career that you're wrestling with. I would like to hear about. One of the things I'm going to talk about is the exciting changes that LinkedIn is making to the profile page. And I'm really kind of excited about this because it gives the profile page a little interesting spice, something that I think is long overdue. Now, I'm going to go check on something because this happened last week when I was doing the stream. I got into my mobile device and there was something interesting going on there that I wanted to check out and see if this actually works. Because here's the thing with LinkedIn, when they introduce, and it is working. So I have this turned off, but here's I'll put this up on the screen. Hopefully you can see that. This is my profile page on a mobile device. And what do you see in the background image? You see this live stream broadcast. And so that's one of the features that LinkedIn is implementing. They typically are investing heavily on mobile device, and a lot of the features you're going to see will appear there first. And then they'll slowly make their way over to the desktop. And so we'll talk through some of those other features. So if you have questions about that, that's great. Here is a ghost on a call, but we'll join at ASAP. Okay, thank you, Bob. Appreciate that. You can always type any questions that you have in the chat. Happy to answer. This can kind of be serial, if you know what I mean. So one of the things that we do to support each other is to make ourselves available to meet outside this weekly event that we call Career Happy Hour to facilitate the networking piece. Good. Teresa, good to see you. Hello from New York, whoever that might be. It's funny, it shows up as a LinkedIn user. So put your LinkedIn profile in the chat if you would, please, so I know who you are and that you're open to other people contacting you and to facilitate the networking. Also, if you have some need for hands-on coaching, you can certainly, there's a link in the description of this session. In fact, I will put this also in the chat. Let me copy this link again. I'll put it in the chat over here on LinkedIn so y'all can have it. And hopefully that'll come through for you. So if you want to come on live and get hands-on coaching, I'm here to do that. And that's something that Restream allows us to do. So that link is in the description and it's in the chat down below. Let me also, hang on, let me also put that in our other platforms here. Let's see. There we go. Excellent. Let's see who the, well, I guess I'd have to for some reason, it's showing LinkedIn user for somebody there. Dwayne, good to see you. Howdy from Beaverton. You and I must be neighbors. I also am in Beaverton. So good to see everybody. So I wanted to share just a couple things really quickly, a couple thoughts. And that is, you know, I've noticed a lot of people posting publicly frustrations on their LinkedIn profile feed. I've had a number of people that I've called out in that regard. In a gentle, kind way. And when I saw a reversion in their approach back to things that are just not, how would you say it? I don't know what you put in there, Dwayne, but it's a long string of things that have, let's see, live video. Anyway, you want to make sure that you put in just your LinkedIn profile address without the additional stuff on the end, but that's okay. But what I've noticed is there seems to be engagement. There seems to be engagement with negative posts on the platform called LinkedIn. And I don't know why that is. Are people really intrigued by despair and by things that are going wrong? I guess people do tend to lean to the negative. I could see that for sure. I just don't see that if I'm in a job seeker mode and I'm trying to attract people to me, I don't want to do so from a position of, say, despair or frustration. I don't want to have a brand that has those components tagged on it. Yes, I may feel frustration. Yes, I may feel deficient. I might have doubt. Everybody does. I just don't believe that the place that you handle and process those kinds of emotions is in the public square or on something like LinkedIn, where you're trying to initiate conversation, demonstrate competence, and those sorts of things. And this may be kind of simple, but there are still people, I think, in LinkedIn that are new to social media. And many people are approaching LinkedIn in my age category, maybe a little older. I'm not going to reveal what that is, that are new to social media. Maybe they've been in the workforce or on a job with the same company for a long period of time and never had a palate, an appetite for social media. I get it. I mean, I was an early adopter of almost every social media out there. And I can assure you that it was the Wild West there for a while. People, especially on things like Facebook, people are posting a lot of things that probably should just be kept to yourself. You know, the whole concept that my parents taught me is, hey, don't say anything. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So that's good. How do I put my link from the phone? I don't know. I think you have to type it in. But let me look. That's a good question. Let me look. Maybe there's a way to do that. I think if you go to your profile page, go to view profile. Oh, actually, you know what? No, it's not there. There it is. You could, I wonder, does that work? Copy code only, share with photo. Yeah, because on the mobile device, you have, you know, of course, the QR code, right? So if any of you want to, I suppose, connect with me, sorry, the green screen kind of went wonky there when it tried to refocus on my thing, but there is a thing here where you can have the QR code, but I think you have to actually go to your profile, view profile. It's at the top. And then as you scroll down, I think there's something at the bottom, if I remember right, near the bottom. Yeah, so as you scroll near the bottom, you should see there at the bottom your profile address. And I think that's a copy. Yeah, you can copy that. Just hold your finger down on it if it's iOS on your profile. But you have to scroll down. It's down where your contact information is. It says contact. So anyway, I could do a tutorial on this, I guess, because it's just really fascinating to me that LinkedIn rolled this out. And let me see also here on the mobile device if this is showing up. No, it's not yet. So let's do that. Let's run through the recent release that LinkedIn provided, because this is pretty interesting stuff. If we're talking about how do we use LinkedIn, how do we put ourselves out there in a way that's, how would you say it, helpful to everybody. So let's fix this up appropriately. Let me undo the chat overlay so you can see this a little better. We'll come back to that in a second. So of course, it's going to start over when I come back there. So anyway, doesn't really matter. Let me make this a little bigger so you all can see it, because sometimes the challenge is you share these screens and they just don't appear very well. So here's the thing. When I came and saw this, it said, bring your professional story to life on LinkedIn. I was skeptical. I was like, okay, here we go again. Well, they did put in last year. Last year, the big news was the featured section, that you can actually feature different things like videos and documents and posts that you've made. Now they're taking it a step further, and they're saying the most interesting part of every professional journey is the story behind it. No two professionals are the same, and that's true. The challenge is many times the profiles are driven by keywords, academic language, or it's a mirror of your resume. And not that that's bad. I just wouldn't leave it that way. Each of you has, as it says here, different career paths, different skills. You have dreams and aspirations that are unique. Share your professional journey in an authentic and engaging way is the starting point for connecting with the communities that matter most to you. And that's why I exist. That's why we're here right now, is because I want to foster, I want to, how would you say it, lubricate the networking process. And if you come here, what you're saying is, hey, I want to do that. I want to be part of that community. I want to interact with some of these people and have open, tangible conversations. That's why we're excited to announce we have reimagined how you can bring your professional story to life on LinkedIn. And we're introducing tools to help you create a more impressive and inclusive profile. What does that mean? It means a couple of things. Actually, it means a lot of things. And this is pretty heavy, how would you say it, coding, I would believe, to change up the profile page. So what does this look like? Well, it starts with something called a cover story. The video cover story is a tool that lets you personalize your first hello so you can engage your audience and reach recruiters. For inspiration on how to bring yours to life, check out the video below. Now, I've got the audio turned off, but I'll go ahead and play the video to show you what this looks like. Now, I can hear it on my side. Maybe I could turn, hang on. Let me see if I can turn this on and start that over again. I think there is a way to do this. I just have to find a way to figure out how to do that. So let's do this. Share audio. I want this one and select share. There we go. Okay. So hopefully you'll be able to hear this on this particular one. We'll go here. We'll come back here. There we go. Okay. So I find this interesting. So what it is this cover story is added to your profile page. And what you'll notice is your profile image will have an orange ring around it. An orange ring. So now we have the hashtag now hiring or hiring. Hashtag hiring is for people that are hiring. It's purple. We have the photo frame that says open to work, right? That hashtag is green. Now you're going to see just an orange ring around your profile photo, and a preview of your video will autoplay silently. Now there is closed captions coming, evidently, but it's going to be interesting to see once you click on that, on the image, it's going to play this video. So for job seekers, a cover story is a great way to introduce yourself to hiring managers by sharing your career goals, providing a peek at your personality, and showcasing your communications. According to a recent US survey, almost 80% of hiring managers believe seeing a pre-recorded video of a job seeker would be useful. That's why a lot of companies, I believe, are participating in these video interviews. There's a number of other benefits, but that's one of them. Also, if you're searching for a job, check out the announcement from Ryan, LinkedIn CEO, about free LinkedIn learning courses to sharpen your skills. That would be as it relates to video, probably video recording, video production. We're going to get to the other part here because the cover story could also be used by people like me, who's a career coach, to talk about my product or service and that sort of thing. And there's a number of other features that we'll talk about here in just a moment. But let me play this video to show you what some of these people have actually put together.
Hi, I'm Emery, and I'm looking for my dream job. Outside of staying in shape, I'm passionate about education and social justice. I have experience in management consulting and operations, and ultimately want to find a role in the nonprofit space. Check out my profile to learn more.
Hi there, I'm Leanne, a freelance marketing consultant with extensive experience working on branding strategies and digital campaigns. I'd love to find out how I can help your business with any of its marketing-related needs. So please check out my profile.
So I'm not going to play all that, but I think you can see we often talk about in this particular session or this context about sharing a branding or a positioning statement, something that you can put together that way as a handshake. And often people may look at your profile and the heat maps don't lie. I don't know if you've heard about heat map research, but a lot of technologists out there, they want to know where you're looking when you come to a profile page. And we're all conditioned to look at your picture because we want to look you in the eye. That's how we show honor. And it's just polite to look somebody in the eye. And 99 times out of 100, the first place people's eyes go is the image. And now you have a way that thing is going to move and people are going to be even more drawn to it and want to click on it. I see this as a huge announcement, huge. Now there's also pronouns. So I think we've seen a transcendence of diversity and inclusion. And this is just an extension of that. There hasn't been a way for us to do that on a LinkedIn profile. And so what they're doing is they're actually adding a new field that allows people to enter their gender pronouns. And so this is something I'm finding really interesting, is that LinkedIn is adding fields to this profile. Now, on top of that, there's also some things that they're offering in terms of hashtags, meaning hashtags are probably something you're familiar with. If you want to learn about those, just go to the LinkedIn help section and you'll see what this is. But the idea is you're now going to have hashtags accessible right at the top of your profile to say, hey, this is my areas of expertise, and boom, they're right at the top of the profile. You can add up to 5. And when you do, you'll see they're appearing right here, talks about these different things. Now, this is something that I think is really intriguing because many of us follow hashtags, but we don't know if this person aligns with us or not. And that's just a great way to kind of filter through and refine that. Now, here's the thing that I'm personally excited about because I do offer product and service on LinkedIn. And that is the idea that, hey, there's a creator mode. And you saw that when I was on the mobile device. And I'll show you that one more time. Many of you may just be joining, but I'm going to come back to my profile on my mobile device. In fact, I'll just hold this up. Well, you can't really see it. Let's get rid of the screen share for just a moment. And I'll just show you really quickly. Here is my mobile device, and you can see up here at the top that the live stream is playing in the background image. Now, this is happening on the mobile device. When I go to my LinkedIn page, however, it looks just like a LinkedIn page. So if I go over there now, let me go find hang on, let me get to my LinkedIn page. My apologies. So that I can show you, maybe this is or isn't showing up on the, so here is, I'll just pull this up into the screen really quickly. Oh, there you go. So it is showing, you can see on my profile now. So if somebody came to my profile page, you can now join this live from the profile. I find that really intriguing. It's something that I think a lot of people are going to become more excited about live streaming. If you go to somebody's profile page and you can see right off the bat that they're live as we speak. Good. So that's something. We talked about the hashtags, creator version here. So the other part of this is adding the hashtags, but it's going a step further. All of these features will roll out to globally next week. We hope these tools will feel seen and represented and help your profile page. So anything, in my opinion, that can get you more access on the profile page, I think is super valuable. Good. Let me see here. Yeah, Dwayne, thank you for that. This reminds me of a recent opportunity I was pursuing. Let me put it on the chat overlay. We'll get that back. Where they had 4 or 5 questions that need to be completed by video. Yeah, there's a lot of these video tools now available that will do that. And it's kind of an automated thing. And the theory, and I say it's a theory, the premise behind it is that you can review all the candidates' answer to the same question and rate them based on that question rather than the entire body of the interactions that you had with them. So anyway, that's something that I would encourage anybody to practice with the video camera, whether it's your, your webcam on your computer or your mobile device or anything of that nature. It really is kind of interesting how this is all working. Now, I haven't seen anybody that has actually put together that video, and I haven't seen an orange circle around any of my contacts, but I would really encourage you, if you have seen that on somebody's profile, then please let me know. Also, if you want to come on live, you're welcome to do that. I did put a link in the chat. I suppose I could go back and do that again. Let me get back to my stream here and see if we can, there we go. Join me live. So if you want to join me live and get hands-on coaching, you can do that. So that's in the chat. If you want it, it's there. You're welcome to take advantage of the tool that's here, the technology, and get some live coaching. Alternately, you can put questions you have in the chat. That helps me as well. And if you have questions about different things, then by all means, go ahead and put those questions in the chat. Happy to answer. I don't see any questions as we stand right now. Good. Did have some candidates get offers this week, so people are still seeing traction. I think what you're seeing, I think there was if I remember right, there was not an earnings announcement. What am I thinking? The announcement for employment came out. I think the employment numbers were released this week, if I remember right. 2021. Let me see if those employment numbers, there were jobs numbers that came out, and they were actually very positive. It looks like, U.S. economy added 916,000 jobs in March. Let's see, workforce and recovery gained steam. Excellent. So the jobs report blew past the expectations. I think the arrival of the vaccine and putting, to a certain extent, some of these things in the rearview mirror is really going to help us get back to normal, if you will. So what questions do you have for me about market planning? We could also see if there's some other networking, anything related to LinkedIn. I am happy to answer. Let me see here. Yep, 960,000 jobs. Let's see, student loans sink, the vulnerable, if vaccinated, travel is low risk, pandemic upends fitness industry, Nike and Little Nas X and Satan shoes. I don't know what that's about. Moving on after a job loss. Well, that's interesting. Let's see what this says. A job loss can be a very traumatic experience. I think we all know that. I've been there 4 times in my career, and many of you come here because you want a place where you can fit in and you feel like part of a community, and that's what this is. This is a community. By putting your LinkedIn profile in the chat, you're admitting that you have that. June Caloroso, I don't know who that is, who is a career coach and recruiter, was in that position last year. She suggested some steps. Let's take a look at what steps she suggested and whether or not I agree with them. Well, maybe it's not so much I agree with them, or what can we take away from that that's positive. Let's see. Hey, June, congrats on making it to JobScan's annual list of top experts to follow on LinkedIn. Wow, how do I get on that list? June, I just saw that you were featured on LinkedIn News. Amazing. My gosh, June, how does it feel to be interviewed by the senior editor? Yeah, sure. You're kidding, right? Do you have the right person? The truth is, back then when I was working as a recruiter, I only saw LinkedIn as a job board. It was nothing but a tool I used to source and recruit. So true. I mean, the opposite is true. We could actually go, maybe this is something to read. I'll put this, it's kind of an interesting article. I guess I can share it in the stream here, but if you want to come on and talk to me live, go ahead and do so. Or I'll share this into the chat and we can kind of read through it together. If you're interested. So let's see who is this again? Let me see. Her name is Jeanette Caloroso, and she goes by June. Let's see. Never in a million years did I think using this platform. Here, let me share my screen. Make it easy on everybody. Share the screen. I want that one. Share. Okay. There we go. I'll just turn. Need to be activated here. So I'll switch this up. We'll go there. Am I back? Hopefully I'm back. I didn't think it would lose my sound if I'm not on the screen. That's bizarre. So anyway. Okay, so let's just jump in. I'll skip all that stuff. 5 tips on how to plan your comeback after a job loss. 1, before starting your job hunt, allow time to grieve and sort out your emotions. One of the best quotes that I heard about this comes from Jim Rohn. And that is, do the best you can. Now, do what you can. Do the best you can. Rest very little. And the challenge that I have with, not a challenge, but the observation I would have having coached with a lot of candidates is that people don't go through this process fast enough. Now, I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't take time to do this. I'm suggesting that many people linger. They linger in the grief and don't actually face and sort through their emotions. So yes, there are different stages to grief, but I would really encourage you to get across this chasm that you can get to acceptance as quickly as possible. And the most positive way to do that is to have positive conversations with people in your network. People you trust, not sharing your emotions, but having positive conversations. 2, rebuild your confidence and connect with your inner child. Want to know about the inner child, but certainly when I come to a transition, and I encourage this for you, and I've done this myself, is it's time to take inventory. And that means, hey, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? What would be a higher and better use of my time than what I was doing before? And that means considering just about everything that you're interested in. And yes, your inner child might be part of that. Mental health might be part of that. Working out. I mean, the last thing I did when I was working heavy and full time was work out. I mean, certainly the health took a back seat. It certainly isn't a mistake I intend to make again. But create a routine. Yes. So in terms of getting your confidence back and connecting with your inner child, I think all of these things certainly are going to have a shred or a component of networking in them. And yes, sharpening your saw is a good idea, specifically as relates to any of these components. Create a routine. Now that you have all this time on your hand, it's easy to spend your entire day watching Netflix, binging, Clubhouse, social media. There's no lack of distraction. That is true. We have to establish activities that are highest and best use of our time, and some of those are here. And yes, the highest and best use of your time actually is, to me, networking. If I was to say, if all four of these things came up at the same time, which one would I prioritize? Anything related to a person. I would prioritize anything related to a person. Now, yes, that could, self-care is something you can incorporate in a lot of different things. You could do that in exercise. You can do that in meditation. You could do that. You could do that by networking. Networking is actually a self-care mechanism when you think about it. Meeting other people, that sort of thing. Build your community and find your accountability partners. That's what this career happy hour, this Friday thing really is, to be a community for that space. And, I'm happy to be anybody's accountability partner. And that's what each person here, I believe, is intending to do. Over 60 million people filed for unemployment last year. Now, that isn't intended to discourage you. What's that intended to do? That's intended to do is make you see that you're not alone, that there's other people going through the same thing, and you can create your own community. Now, you can participate in this one if you want, or you can start your own, or you can find a wingman. I think I did a podcast episode on that idea, that concept of having a wingman, somebody going through this with you. And certainly if you're talking accountability, me personally, I'm not going to put a spouse on that list or a close family member. I think it's better that you have somebody that can empathize, that's going through the same things that you are, or has gone through the same things you have, or are going through. So let's see. What's next? Do an inventory check of all your skills and superpowers before you jump into your search. I don't know if you have to. I don't know if you have to delay a search. You do need to understand what your strengths are, and you need to advocate for those strengths. So yes, inventory check is a good idea. Before you jump into your search, I think each one of us has skills, has strengths, has superpowers, and we know what they are. We just don't give ourselves permission to advocate for them. And if you need it from me, I'm happy to give it to you. You have my permission to advocate for your own happiness, your own strengths, your own superpowers. Not that you need it, but if you wanted it, it's there for you. So that's something to think about. You might think your next step is just jump into the job search mode. Well, it depends what you call job search mode. Now, if we know effective job search is the networking, there's a lot of value to come through networking to find your superpowers. Maybe the purpose that you have in networking is to identify your superpowers. Maybe you don't know what those are. It's not uncommon that would happen. Let's see, a high five test. I don't know what that is, but it might be something you take a look at. It also provides recommendations on what type of work environments you thrive in. Yes, establishing a plan. Now, some people may call that a marketing plan or what have you. You can call it whatever you want, but you ought to have a document other than your resume that outlines the type of company you want to work for, the type of leader you want to be associated with. What are the values that you want? What kind of environment do you excel in? This is you establishing what I'd call diagnosable symptoms, meaning what is the symptom of the ideal organization, or what is the profile of the ideal organization that you could use some of these troubleshooting questions to identify whether or not a company is going to meet your expectations. And I find that valuable because many times we get into a position where, we have an opportunity in front of us and having one is better than not. And we take a position that isn't really a fit for us. Okay. So the last thing I want to leave you with, I hope these tips I shared helped. And before I let you go, I want to remind you that you are more than a job title and that your career does not define you. How you navigate through the struggle, your character, and how you treat people does. That's why I really encourage you to have a way outside of the public square. You have a way outside of that public square to process some of your emotions. I started the stream today with that. As many of us might be frustrated, and it seems like the best way to do that is to share that with somebody. If we don't have a safe place to share that, then we end up sharing it on social. Let's see, if you're interested in working with me to help you navigate your job search field, of course, there's a call to action. Oh, that's great. In-demand candidate. That's great. Tools and resources. Lastly, enjoyed the article. I'll be on. Okay, good. Good. So let's see what Jeanette has on her profile. Follow LinkedIn by JobScan, career strategist. Okay. So it looks like the pivot was made from senior recruiter to career coach. So, I mean, that's valuable for sure. Looks like she did that April, May, June, 2 months after. So yeah, anyway, that is interesting how things work out. What do they say? The things work out best for those who make the best of way things work out. It's one of those, I think that's a chiasmus or something like that. Really here now. Okay, great. What's on your mind, Bob? What's on anybody's mind? I'd like some questions, please. If you could, or if you want to come on live, you're welcome to do that. Put in the chat box any questions you have. I'm here to serve the community. Many of you may be thinking about the weekend. I'm the type of person that I really encourage you to start thinking about next week today and setting up, what do they say? The 10-stroke-90 rule. You save 90%. You save 90% in execution through just 10% of your time planning. You can probably find that somewhere on the Googles. Good. Any questions out there? Anybody want to come on live? Just go ahead and click the link in the description. Happy to do that. We have live coaching available every Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific time. And share this out. There should be a share button here somewhere. Does anybody see it? Is there a share button on the video? I think there should be. Let's take a look-see. Yeah, down below the stream, let's stop sharing. There is a little share button with an arrow. If you could, just hit that share button and share it out. Good. Hang on. It looks like Dwayne wants to come on. Really here now. I think there was a question there by by Bob, but all I see is the quote mark. So maybe that didn't pan out. So let's see. Question from Bob Taylor, the venerable Bob Taylor, with a good radio voice. Anyway, how to find good versus friction in the middle headhunters. I think I'm going to need some more context there. That's for sure. So if the challenge that a lot of us have when we're working with third-party search firms like headhunters, it's an aged term. We don't really use that in the industry anymore. They're either called placement firms or contingent recruiters or staffing firms, right? There's some better usage words that we're now focusing on. But each one of us has to come up with a set of parameters on the type of company we want to hitch our wagon to. Just like anything else, we can ask a series of questions to determine whether or not a recruiter, just like a company, would meet our needs. First thing I'd want to know, how long they've been in the business. Maybe they're just a fly-by-night or a solopreneur that, not to pull out June as an example, but there are people that that get into the industry after a layoff or after maternity leave. And it doesn't matter much their motivation. You just want to know how long have they been in business. It's something you can use to evaluate any recruiter. The second thing I would ask is what companies do you work with or collaborate with or place people in? That'd be good to know, wouldn't it? Where are they strong? And then immediately following that question, when is the last time you placed somebody in that firm? Well, this will be our first. Okay, so now we can see, all right, there's varying degrees of relationship involved with these third-party firms. Some of them have strategic partnerships with certain companies, and those companies only work with 2, maybe 3 strategic partners. There isn't a whole host of people that you can rely on to get into that company through that method. Well, it looks like Bob came in here, and so did Dwayne. I think Dwayne was here first. No offense, Bob. We'll have to get to Dwayne first. So let's see how this works out, and I'll bring Dwayne into the.
We can bring Bob in too, can't you?
Yeah, I'll do that in a second. But Dwayne, hey, thanks for coming on. Happy Friday. How are you?
Happy Friday. Good. How are you?
Excellent. Now that you're here,
well, I figured
everything is complete.
Yeah, pleading for somebody to come on
Yeah.
and chat.
Well, it is shorts weather, and I'm sure there's many things we'd all rather be doing today.
And less than 5 feet from almost beautiful sunshine.
Yeah,
and,
good.
Ready for the weekend. So
awesome.
Yeah,
what's on your mind, sir?
Well, I was, that whole thing with June and jumping back, trying to find a job, and after working for some place for a long time, I worked at a large semiconductor company here in Hillsboro for 22 years, and then got let go, and that was like a big shock to my system, and didn't know exactly what I was going to do. And I actually recently found a new opportunity, and had recruiters, reached out to me. I had some good recruiters, and I had some not so good recruiters. And fortunately, the one that that landed me this current role was a pretty good one. He knew what he was looking for. He knew what the company was looking for, and he saw it in me. And it made the whole process of interviewing, I think, a little less stressful, maybe, because I think that a good recruiter will see, maybe look through the noise and see, okay, this is what this guy can bring to this particular role, and so yeah, it's worked out.
Good. But well, congratulations.
Yeah. It's kind of weird though, starting back over though, after 22 years, because you've worked your way up the chain, and now you're back at reset and start over. So, yeah.
Well, I think they call that wisdom by experience. You've now gone through.
I sure hope that's what they call it. I sure hope that's the case.
I mean, nobody wishes it on anybody. Nobody says, "Hey, I sure hope when I come into work today that I get my walking papers." And I've been in notification situations where people were blindsided like that. Some on visas. That if they get laid off somewhere, they got 45 days to find a job, or they have to leave the country.
Yep.
People who've had babies or bought in houses and soon thereafter have these experiences.
Yeah.
So everybody is approaching this from a little bit different perspective, and each one has a different experience. You can't presume that, somebody has it any better or worse than you. Yeah. The good news is you found something. That's great.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I would say that it had been 20 something years since I last interviewed for, or had to find a job, that I was initially very shocked by how the process has changed over the years, and then even with COVID, right? That threw another wrinkle into it, because there was a lot of more of this, video interviews, or or something that they didn't even want to see you on video. Maybe they didn't want to be, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to see that guy in the office every day, and they just wanted to just talk on the phone, which is fine. I don't mind doing that. But I had more than one opportunity that I had applied for where they did want the video intro, and then they were looking at that how you conducted yourself in your video, and they gave you maybe 2 or 3 tries because they actually had a website that you'd have to go to, and you had I think up to 3 tries to get the video exactly how you want it. So you could read the question and you could write out exactly what you want to say, and then kind of hold it up and then try to sound natural, but knowing that you're really reading it off of reading your answer off of a piece of paper or something like that. That was kind of nerve-wracking as well, right? So, I really appreciate the whole LinkedIn thing. At least that gets that initial introduction out of the way. It's corner, and did they have a time limit on those intros? Does it say anything?
Yeah,
like that?
I think it was like 30 seconds.
30
maybe.
seconds. So it's kind of like an elevator pitch then.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
that's totally what that is.
Yeah.
Let me see what it says here. I think it was maybe longer than that, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I'll find it here. So tell everybody, if you would, Dwayne, what is your deal? What is your superpower? Who are you, and what do you do? What is your?
I'm a data guy at heart. I love data. So I'm found myself working with a lot of databases, a lot of complex numbers, reporting them out. The devil is in the details, and the person who controls the data rules the world. And that's where I love to be. Is the guy who's controlling the data.
Your world domination, is that on your future?
No, I don't think it's. I'm not sure about that. Actually, I'd rather just retire here in a few years. And but no, that's really it's a matter of data. I think that the world is very data hungry, and it drives business. And if you can't react, if you can't trust the data and react to the data in a timely manner, you will lose.
Yeah.
So
good stuff.
Yeah. It is.
Well, so are you making yourself available to the community if someone wants to reach
absolutely.
out, have conversations, or learn more about how to use data in that way?
Yeah, I would say that if anybody is currently looking, and if they look at my profile on LinkedIn right now, and they think that they match up with my experience, you should reach out to me, because the company I'm currently working for, I think they're hiring 4 people right now.
4 people?
4.
Wow. Do you get a bonus if they get hired?
I don't know. I'll find out.
I sure hope so. Doing all this work,
referral, right?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
If someone wants to, is interested in that, it's really as I could point you to the recruiter I had, because they probably have the inside scoop on talking directly to the hiring manager anyway, right? I'm just another employee, but the recruiter is the guy they probably listen to. I'm just a new guy,
But if you're good, why wouldn't they?
So far, so good, right?
Well, good for you, Dwayne.
Yeah.
It's glad to hear you've had success.
Yeah,
and hopefully that rubs off on others.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
All right, Bob wants to come online.
Yeah, I'll see you later.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye. Well, that's Dwayne, everybody. Go ahead and connect with him. It looks like you can see his profile in the chat here. Let's see what Bob is up to.
Well, I was just going to expand. I was going to expand since my question sounded like it needed explanation.
Okay. Yes, please.
So, and my apologies for using headhunter instead of recruiter. It's old school terminology.
It doesn't hurt my feelings. I just don't want you to hurt somebody else's feelings that's in that business.
Yes. I have found, as I've been poking around, some cases where recruiters, I would say, are primarily friction. In other words, they've scraped positions off of other sites. You find it through them because they reposted it then, but they won't tell you who it is, and you they're in the way of you talking to the employer. I also found one that I've been working with for a specific job where they're calling me and saying, here's how you should interview with this person because I've put people with them before. So they were really being an advocate and trying to find the right people for the position as opposed to just scraping and getting in the middle. On the surface, they looked identical.
It was the same role?
Well, it's different roles, but I'm saying as far as, when you interact with them initially, it's a site that has put jobs listed.
Yeah. Well, so you know how sales works, right?
I'm an engineer, but
okay, so
that could be dangerous.
Well, typically in some of these other organizations, they have people that do the prospecting, the lead generation, right? The finding of the people, right? Or the opportunities. And then they'll hand that off to a salesperson, right? Somebody who actually presents. They, maybe have done some pre-qualifying. They know that this person is interested in the product or service that they're looking to buy. And I believe recruitment's a lot the same way. They may have offshored or outsourced the generation of candidate acquisition. And yes, they'll scrape roles and they'll call you and they'll try to funnel you into an opportunity, but they may not know who the employer is, right? They're just trying to get you to commit and say yes so they can hand you off to somebody else. Now, but that's a presumption I'm making. Right. And certainly the one that's engaging with you in a positive way like that, more intimately to help you with the interview process, is one you want to push to the top of the list, right? Oh, yeah. So as you come across these, you can say, well, I wasn't impressed with this one because of that, but that doesn't mean anything. There could be somebody else at that organization that's a lot better. And so maybe it's just that person or that day, they were just being really, how would you say it, protective of their customers. And that's not uncommon, especially if they're a contingency recruiter, right? Their pay is contingent upon them placing. And so if you run off and get placed through another recruiter for the same role, they don't get paid.
Right.
And so there's that part of it. So be cognizant that there's different structures for how these companies are compensated. And it's okay. I think it's okay to ask how that is. Is it, are you billing me at a rate and then wanting me to take an hourly wage so you can have a VIG on top of that and make a profit? Great. Are you placing me for a single fee, right? Where it's, hey, they just outsource their recruitment function and they pay a certain percentage of the first year salary. And then you're onboarded just like a regular employee. Or is this a project? Maybe it's a defined length of term and, here's the amount and, here we go. We'll just go do the project. So each one's going to be a little bit different. And your process, if you're going through that, is to discern which one is it.
Yeah, and that's probably the much more of the question is that when I see a site or I see a position that I can tell is through a recruiter, how do I figure out which they are? In that process. Yeah.
Are you contingent or are you retained search? That's something, or executive search. Right. And I know enough about you to know you're at the executive level. So you'd want to be with an executive search firm or a retained search recruiter. Otherwise, you're, like you said, it's I don't like to use the word headhunter, but it's a more commoditized approach where they're just trying to place a person with a pulse that can meet the requirements of that employer. And
in this particular case, I think that this recruiter has a long-term relationship with the founders of the company, and they're all, like I said, they almost are the recruiting arm for the company. So it's a third party.
So they have a strategic partnership. That's much different than outsourcing a commodity, right? So or bringing in staff to augment what's currently going on. Both are valid. They're just not as how would you say, refined in their approach with the candidate experience. And it's just part of this process is trial and error on your side and keeping track of which ones you think are actually good. And, certainly Terry, I think, is here in the chat. He could probably provide you guidance on the different ones he's worked with in the past and what that looks like.
Cool.
All right. Anything else going on?
That's it. Other than I was trying to get on last week because you told me to get on Friday. and let you know what I decided to do with the opportunity that had come up, and I cut them loose.
Yeah. Did you leave the door open?
I did. And the way basically it was one of the things that I don't think they did intentionally, but I had a different impression of what the job was based on the description than what it was when I went through the interview process. So when I went through the interview process, it was a lower scope position than I thought it was from the job description, and basically told them that. And it was a bit of a weird thing because I got a request from HR, which was outsourced. So it was actually IBM called me wanting to talk about their HR.
Nice.
And the HR discussion turned into a negotiation discussion.
Wow,
that I thought it was a little bizarre because it was like, well, I'm not a compensation expert, but if we offered you this, what would you say? It's like, you're a compensation expert, or we wouldn't be having this conversation.
You're the closer. Yeah,
you're the closer.
Yeah.
And that was kind of confirmation. It's not that the number itself was that critical to me, but it was a confirmation that it was a different level position than I thought it was.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the feedback I gave him is it was that I'm still interested in the organization in a different role, but it was a different contribution level than I expected it to be. And it wasn't anything. I like the people, and it was true. I like the people. I like the organization. It just wasn't the level of contribution I wanted to make.
Good. So what is your intent to follow up there?
I'm watching, but right now I'm not actively talking to them, but I am watching to see if something that looks more appropriate does show up. So I check once a week or so to see that. I've got a couple places that are like them that I've talked to them, but the right position wasn't there.
Yeah. So it's something if you're talking about a third-party firm, right? Mm-hmm. And you feel like they got it going on and they have relationships in the right places, and it's just a matter of fit, I would put that person on some kind of regular follow-up.
Yeah. Now those were two different companies.
Right. I get it. I'm suggesting that if there is one where it meets those kind of parameters and you feel like, wow, under different circumstance, if the fit was good, I would have gone for it. And these people seem like they know what they're doing. Right. And then I would put them on a regular follow-up, whether they have anything out there or not.
Right. Yeah, and I've done that with a couple others that I had some initial discussions at the HR level and just wasn't quite the right fit, but I liked them. They seemed to like me. At least they were polite if they didn't. And I do go poke them every once in a while and say, hey, anything, and so far that's come up. But I have enough other threads that look more promising that I keep myself busy with those.
Good. So Bob, tell everybody what you love to do more than anything, professionally speaking.
I am the simple way is say generalist, but I tend to play more as a full product technology leader. So I like working in positions that would have titles like CTO, VP of engineering of smaller software companies, where I get to dive into the technology, but work on all the other problems too, and make the connections between them. Problems.
Are you a problem finder or a problem solver? Or
sometimes a problem creator. but
well, I read a book once called "If It Ain't Broke, Break It." You heard that one?
I have not heard that one, and I can sort of get the point, but I also can see that could be dangerous. But
yeah, I mean, it was, and then what is it? Think outside the box. I mean, there's a lot of other ones out there like that where you're going against conventional wisdom, the lack of standing still, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think sometimes conventional wisdom is it's good to at least ponder going against it.
Yes.
And it was actually interesting on that job I had two different LHH people. One person says take it, one said don't. So I got to pick which one. But
yeah, and you didn't get that from me, right?
You were implying take it. I think.
I was implying use your best judgment.
Okay, and that's what I did. I used my best judgment
and trust your intuition. Is what I said. I believe.
Okay. Yeah. And that was probably the big thing for me is I didn't dislike the people or the organization, but my intuition was I wasn't going to be happy. Now, and I'm not at the point yet that I feel like I need to take something I wouldn't be happy at. So I'm still chasing the ones that I think I'm going to be happier and be able to make more contribution at.
Good. I think you should. Always leave the doors open.
Yep, definitely.
All right, sir. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Yuzu.
Yep, take care. Bob Taylor, everybody, he's in the chat. I know that he's probably open to talking to just about anybody. And if you're interested, reach out to Bob and have that conversation. Good. I think we made our hour requirement here. Not too bad. Was there any other questions, parting comments, things that someone would like to share? Certainly you could come on live or just toss it into the chat. Otherwise, we're going to close it out and wish you a happy Easter or Passover as you, depending on which one you celebrate. I'm not seeing any other questions. Thank you for coming, everybody. Remember, caring is sharing. I'd really encourage you to share this broadcast out. We're here every week, 3 p.m. Pacific time, as long as technology permits. And we will answer questions, serve each other, and be a positive force in the community to help us connect and get to that next great thing for each one of us. All right, folks. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Career Happy Hour. Bye now.